Next on HBO, Venus Williams heads the cast of characters from Day 8 of the Lawn Tennis Championships at Wimbledon. Martina Hingis, Pete Sampras, Goran Ivanisevic, Richard Krajicek, also in action today on Day 8 from Wimbledon, coming up next.
Special presentation of HBO Sports, the network of champions.
London, October 4, 1905. Women took to the streets voicing their demand for suffrage. Christabel Pankhurst, whose mother began the Women's Social and Political Union, was arrested, and Parliament managed to put the women's vote on hold until after they helped to win World War I. The ruler of women's tennis, by acclamation, is Martina Hingis. No vote necessary. Her quest for a second Wimbledon singles title continues today. But still on the same quest are a pair of two-time runners-up. Arancha Sanchez Vicario continues her recent resurgence, but has barely seen the light of day here. Yana Novotná has a score to settle with Hingis dating back to last year's final. And American Venus Williams is trying to reach her second Grand Slam final. But when her sister Serena retired with an injury, the dream matchup between the two sisters was put on hold. On the men's side, some of the game's biggest servers will flex muscles today. 1996 champion Richard Krajicek, one of only two seeds left in the bottom half of the draw. The other is Goran Ivanisevic. Ivo's game can be overpowering, or it can inexplicably sputter for long periods of time. But the verdict is in on Pete Sampras. Pete has yet to surrender a set. At Wimbledon, as everywhere else, women vote, men hope to please them. Tennis Championships. The gates open at the All England Club. All of England bursts through in an attempt to share in the joy of these championships, which are building drama, even at the moment when England prepares for its big football match tonight with Argentina. But there's great excitement here, where more than 33,000 fans a day have been streaming through the doors, and whereas we arrive at the championship rounds, most of tennis's most prominent players remain alive and in the hunt for the Wimbledon singles crowns. We'll be showing you some of the top women and men in the world today, and we have spectacular tennis weather. This is the most beautiful day yet in the championships, so we can expect for the tournament to get fully back on schedule and head on into its quarterfinal rounds. Temperature 68, humidity 54, that's low. Not much of a breeze today, and the outlook partly cloudy, which is as gloriously sunny as any outlook you will ever see here in jolly old England. It's great. And welcome back to our HBO studio. Hello again, I'm Jim Lampley. Today here with Mary Carrillo and Billie Jean King. Later on, we'll be hearing from Barry McKay, John Lloyd, Martina Navratilova, Frank DeFord, all that as our telecast goes on. But let's turn our attention to the two women who generate the most heat and excitement now as we close in on the championship rounds of the tournament, starting Billie Jean with Venus Williams. When you watch Venus today, aside from looking for a victory, which is what it takes to go on into the quarterfinal round, what would be the other indicators you would see that tell you that she's going further and has a chance to duplicate or better her U.S. Open performance?
Well, we already know that Venus Williams has power, without any question. 125 miles on that serve of hers, the fastest ever recorded here for a woman. But what she has is she's moving better, and I'm going to see how she continues to move. Does she improvise? She's been hitting tip forehands, and of course keeping that pure power consistent enough on the big points particularly, and stay competitive.
Fans notice, Mary, that against the spectacle of what Venus Williams does, Hingis, in her way, seems to sort of disappear. Does that mean anything about the way she's playing?
No, in her own quiet way, Martina Hingis is, I think, very, very much a presence. She's not her game isn't as noisy as Venus's. She doesn't have that big serve. She isn't that noisy off the ground. Certainly Hingis's hair isn't as noisy as Venus Williams' hair. But she is the defending champion, and for good reason. She knows her way around the grass better than anybody. And I still think, you know, in spite of all the people swirling around her neighborhood, that Martina Hingis is the one to beat here.
Mary, the women in the top half of the draw are still in the round of 16, trying to get to the quarterfinals. Let's take a look at them, and you give us a little insight into each of these matches.
No, Hingis, I surely put through against Tamarine Tanasugarn. I also think that although Arancha Sanchez Vicario has not played aggressive enough tennis, she should rule Dominique Van Roost. Jana Novotná, I still think, can make her way into another semifinal here. That would mean, of course, in my mind, that she would have to play Venus Williams, and I wouldn't mind watching a Jana Novotná-Venus Williams match if that were to happen.
That would be terrific.
Billie Jean, bottom half of the draw, we already have 2 interesting quarterfinal matches set up.
Well, at the top, of course, sentimental favorite, Monica Seles. I mean, everyone would love to see her win. We know what we're going to get out of her. Very consistent off the ground, moving better. Zvereva is the one that's going to control the outcome of that match. She can play if she wants to. She's got a taste of what it feels like to concentrate on every point. It'll be very interesting to see if she can continue. And of course, at the bottom of the draw there, you see the #2 seed, and of course, Mary Carrillo's dark horse pick, Lindsay Davenport against Tozia, the French woman. Tozia can chip, she can move well, she's a very excellent grass court player, so I think she's really going to test Davenport for the first time this
She'll play
tournament.
chip and charge against Davenport?
Yes, chip and charge, and she'll make Davenport have to really move up and back and really test her movement quality.
There's a men's singles competition, too, relegated by some tennis pundits to sidebar status this year here at Wimbledon. But some of the most interesting players among the men are playing today. And for more on that, let's check in at the outer courts now with Barry McKay and John Lloyd.
All right, Jim, thanks very much. The 2 remaining Americans on these outer courts today, Pete Sampras on #1, Todd Martin out on 13. And John, Sampras, a lot of people didn't think he'd even be here on the second week. He's looked more comfortable. Can he go all the way?
No doubt about it. He's finally serving well, and that's the key to Sampras' game. When he's serving as well as he is right now, everybody else had better look out. The only problem I see with his game is he's getting chances to break serves, but he's not converting enough. But I think as his opponents get tougher, so will Pete Sampras.
Ivan Isevich against Todd Martin, court 13. Ivan Isevich with 44 aces, John. We saw him do it. If he serves that well, does Martin have a chance?
Well, not if he serves 44 aces, but, you know, Todd Martin's a very good grass court player. He's been around a long time, and I think he'll move around the court. He'll try and give Ivan Isevich a different angle, and I think he'll play a lot of balls, and I think he could give Ivan Isevich a lot of trouble.
All right, let's have a look now at the draw as it stands on the men's side. On the top half, John, obviously, your man Henman out into the quarterfinals already.
Well, Peter Korda and Tim Henman, they love this because they're already a round ahead, but it'd be interesting to see how Peter Korda recovers from that injury he suffered on his Achilles heel yesterday. But you look at the top half, obviously, and we've got to look there for a possible Sampras and Philippoussis match. Boy, that'll be a battle of 2 big servers right there.
Will it ever? And on the bottom half, Krajicek, who did so well here a few years ago, he won this championship. A look at his draw, kind of looks similar.
Well, it does. I mean, he's been whacking everybody coming through the group. He's been serving so well. If you look at his draw there, you've got to look again at the matchup, the possible matchup between Ivan Isevich and Richard Krajicek, and that will be a match of 2 huge servers once again.
All right, that's the story from the outer courts, Jim. We'll be covering it. Sampras and Martin. Can they get through? We'll follow it. Back to you.
All right, thanks very much, Barry and John. You'll also hear from Martina Navratilova in just a short time during match commentary. Meanwhile, here's a look ahead to some of the matches we expect to be showing you during these next 5 hours right here on HBO. Gern Ivanisevic and Todd Martin, among those 8 matches they've played against each other, 2 of them here at Wimbledon. They split those 2. Ivo, as you know, has been to the final twice. On court #2, Martina Hingis against Tamarine Tanasugarn of Thailand. She was born in Los Angeles, raised in Bangkok. First meeting ever between the 2. Then Venus Williams comes right onto that court to take on Virginia Ruano-Pascual. Ruano-Pascual vanquished Venus's sister yesterday. This will be a much tougher test for the Spaniard. On court number 1, Dominique van Roost of Belgium against Arancha Sanchez Vicario of Spain. You can see that they've played 5 times, and Arancha has a slight edge in the series, having won 3 of the 5. Pete Sampras against Adam Sandler look-alike Sébastien Grosjean of France, a former world junior champion, made it through the qualifying. He's won 6 straight matches on grass. It's the first meeting ever between the two. Yana Novotná against Irina Sprulea. You can see that Novotná has won all 4 of the preceding matches between these two. Surely the young Romanian woman is going to break through against Yana at some point. Could it happen today on center court? Could Wayne Ferreira break through against Richard Krajicek? Krajicek's won 2 of the 3. The Dutchman is playing lights-out tennis, as Barry and John told you, as they get ready for that match, and Ferreira is bothered by an injury which might make it even more difficult than expected for him to handle Krajicek. Right now, we're going to pick up the action between Martina Hingis and her opponent Tamarine Tanasugarn with Mary, Billie Jean, and Martina as we arrive in the first set of the match. Hingis is up 2-1, and Tanasugarn is serving from the near end.
Love 15.
Well, that's where the other women will be forced into serving better and making their game more complete, because right now they are depending on their ground strokes too much, and of course return of serve is a ground stroke. They're comfortable hitting it. They just don't practice, work on the serve enough. The technique is shocking. I mean, this technique is, there's no excuse, you know? You just get tapes of a few good servers and copy them. I mean, look at those ground strokes, beautifully. You absolutely cannot fault her on the ground strokes. The backhand is better than the forehand, but the forehand's solid. She can change the direction, hit it from anywhere. But you hit her a short ball, she's not comfortable coming in. We haven't seen her volley yet, and her serve, again, I mean, it could be better with so little effort, and they just don't work on it. She looks like she's throwing in a high forehand volley. What she gets in return.
15-30.
On her backswing, she really opens the face up, and all she can do from that position is waiter it or go under the ball. And what she does, she goes on the outside of the ball. So she has a nice little spin that Martina Hingis eats up like that.
15-40.
And you will see her probably breaking Hingis' serve more than holding her own. Because to win points, you need to start in an offensive position, aggressive position, and these women are get on the aggressive easier when they're returning than when they're serving.
Game is Hingis. Miss Hingis by 3 games to 1. Love 15.
Martina, although Hingis' technique is far better, she too will have to work on her serve in the coming years, won't she? Well, that's the one area that her mother really didn't push her in when she was younger, because she only let her serve like 5 minutes a day because she didn't want her to get injuries to her shoulder or her
15
arm.
all.
But now it's time. I think, you know, she's tall enough. I mean, you see Rosie Casals had one of the best serve in women's tennis. To this day has one of the best second serves in women's tennis at 5'2.25".
30-15.
So Hingis has the height and she's strong enough. Her technique also is a bit suspect. She could definitely, she needs to work on it if she wants to stay number 1. The other women will catch up. Kunikova's serve is better. Williams, we know about her serve, both of them, Serena and Venus.
30 all.
And also Hingis is, she's only 5'6", so she'll be facing a lot more power from a lot more women.
So it's more important for her at that height than the others who are over 6 feet. Williams, Davenport. Davenport could get her serve to be better as well. She's working on it.
Lindsay Davenport is playing very well this Wimbledon, serving over 100 miles an hour at
Game
times.
Hingis
This could go very quickly now. After a shaky start, Martina Hingis has won the last 4 games of this first set.
When we were talking earlier about the serves and how good the women's serves are, I'm looking at the top 10 rankings for the year-end 1997. And of the top 10, I would say Amanda Kutzer and maybe Arancha Sanchez Vicario's serves are not better than Hingis, but all the other women, their serves are better than Martina Hingis. Yes, she's number 1. So imagine how good she is overall. But I think the other women will catch up, and then a new breed of the teenagers, the Kurnikovas and the Williamses, will force Martina to improve her serve.
Tamarine Tanasugarn of Thailand serving at 1-4 first set. A little net play from the woman voted 2 years ago the best female athlete by the Press Association in Thailand, where she has lived from the age of 5.
all. 30-15.
I don't know about that shot selection on Hingis' part. She got away with one. Tanasugarn really should have been able to do more with that ball. Hingis way behind the baseline when she hit that cross-court drop shot.
No. 40-30. Yes.
Tanasugarn's had her share of game points and break points and not been able to convert except for the first game of the match.
Advenime Tanasugarn. Yes.
That's the shot I was talking about. Sort of the shot you don't try to do anything with and you still miss. That's where the average player needs to improve to become really, really good or even great.
because the top players don't goof up the neutral rallies.
Exactly, the neutral ball. You know, you may see a player miss 2 or 3 in a match.
And the finisher. They don't go for the lines quite as much.
Right.
They don't overdo it.
That's part of the shot selection.
Yes.
It's not just what corner you hit it, but how close to the line do you go. Of course, as we say that, Hingis just misses wide.
Well, top players will miss them, but percentage-wise over the year, that's why they're ranked where they're ranked, at the top.
Right. You know, you see it well illustrated in golf when they see the percentage of players hitting in the fairways and and how many percentage-wise, how many greens they hit in regulation, etc. And the top players are always on the leaderboard. It's not that they're great savers of par, but they are just solid. They make the shots they're supposed to make. And in tennis, we're not that sophisticated with statistics yet. You know, I mean, if tennis was set up for statistics the way baseball is, as we see Tanasugarn putting away an overhead, that's usually a hard shot to hit because people don't practice it. If we had better statistics, you could see really why the top players are the top players. So those little details, you know.
We are antiquated in that area, definitely. I mean, people at home, especially in America, love numbers.
Force back to deuce.
Yes.
And they love to read like box scores. They love to read like in baseball. You can just read and figure out what happened in the game the next day. I mean, my dad reads every one of those. Americans love that. When we don't have that in tennis.
Another game point for Tanasugarn. Billie Jean, which numbers are you referring to?
Or actually where every ball even hits in a rally. If you knew where every shot went, like in basketball, during the NBA playoffs particularly, they go and see, okay, Michael Jordan's making all his shots from this area of the court. He's missing these. He's, you know, whatever. So you know exactly what's going on. You should have like 25 stats.
Ms. Hingis leads by 4 games to 2.
Like how many mid-court shots do you miss?
But overall for the year, you could have, you know, points won on first serve, percentage,
right.
Points won on second serve, break points converted.
Just as long as I don't have to keep those numbers.
Returns in play, you know, unforced errors of the backhand volley, unforced errors of the forehand volley. I mean,
yes,
you could really...
I think baseball is all about, every time somebody does breathes in baseball, it's a stat. That drives me nuts.
I mean, they know what the guy hits after he had steak and potatoes for dinner the night before, you know. I mean, they really break it down. But the managers that look at all those numbers, we have very little to look at. And it's easy to pick out patterns if people just would take their time and, you know, study the game. But again,
Hingis has to steady herself right now. She's in a bit of a funk, lost that last game, and the first 2 points of this. And she's in real trouble. Martina Tanasugarn in the last 5 minutes has evened things up and now is 1 point away from getting this first set right back on serve. Hingis would love to see the numbers that explain why she does this. Fades in and out at times.
Out.
Missed it.
Oh.
See? Big point again.
15-40.
Does not convert.
That's the second overrule we've seen in 6 games. That's a lot. We've not seen very many overrules in this Wimbledon at all. If only she had come in on any of those. She had 3 or 4 balls in a row. She could have come in and just picked her side to hit the volley. But like we said earlier, she does not like to move forward and let Hingis back into the point.
1 break point left for Tanasugarn.
And she missed that backhand because she was tired. And then you saw her walk around a little bit, trying to catch her breath.
Very pretty smash from Martina Hingis. A difficult shot made to look easy by the world's #1.
Yes.
Both players taking their time now, but that was a very physical point for both of them.
Tana Sugarn, 4 years older than Martina Hingis, the youngest player in the 20th century to win a major. And the youngest ever to defend one when she won the Australian again this year.
Then Miss Hingis.
See, Hingis put this ball away, and as you notice, it's 2 feet inside the line. And that's what the champions do better.
Again, Miss Hingis.
So Martina Hingis, under the gun again, comes up with the goods and leads 5-2
By
in this
5
opening
games
set.
to 2 first set.
He is arguably the greatest American athlete of the 20th century. Perhaps no other figure has transcended sport to the degree of Babe Ruth. What was it about this man that so captured America's imagination? On August 16th, the 50th anniversary of the Bambino's death, HBO Sports premieres the next edition of Sports of the 20th Century, as we proudly present Babe Ruth.
Time.
Martina Hingis. Again, there's that serve, Martina Navratilova, that you think can be improved upon.
Well, we keep talking about a lot of players make the same mistake. They lead with the elbow and they sort of waiter under the ball. We call it waiter because you could put a Coke and a hamburger on the back of the racket because it faces up to the sky. They don't really get the racket up to the ball and keep the shoulders back so they can come through and get more of a slingshot effect. They're leading with their
15
shoulder
low.
and their arm never catches up with their elbow.
First ace for Tamarine Tanasugarn.
And also, as a result of that, you don't ever reach up and use your full height. I mean, there you see Tanasugarn's like leaning away from the ball as she's hitting the serve.
Falling off of it.
It's going left.
15.
An ace followed by a double fault.
Body goes left, she tries to hit the ball right. Just not getting all of your energies going in one direction. Bingo.
Well, that was a surprise.
30-15.
She came in and hit the volley behind Hingis. Very clever.
Yeah, I thought she hit that volley well.
Yep.
Why isn't she up there?
The volleys that she has hit, she's been fine. She just doesn't want to move forward.
All.
And set point for Martina Hingis.
That was probably an outrageous display of emotion from Tanasugarn. She's very easy going.
Twice in one game. Anna Sugarn taking it out of the air.
At 5-2 down in the first set, she decides to come in. 6 of 9, 6 of 8 for Hingis, but really the net point advances for Tana Sugarn. She was pretty much invited to the net. She really didn't want to come in there on her own volition, unlike those 2 points in this game where she came in by her own choosing.
Second double fault of this game offers up another set point for Hingis.
Yes.
Fine pressing by Tana Sugarn.
And then Miss Tana Sugarn.
Tana Sugarn so aggressive in the first game, and now in what could be the last game of the first set, she's back in Hingis's face again.
Yes.
Wrong shot selection on that one. Going for too much. I think she was getting tired, so she just wanted to finish the point one way or the other.
Now,
well, she did that.
No, but there
She
again,
did finish it.
But there again, if she had a big serve, she could have served volley maybe and surprised Hingis, shortened the point, saved her energy, and stayed aggressive. But because she doesn't have the big serve, she has to always develop the point.
Stays in. Yeah, you put so much pressure on the rest of your game, Billie Jean, when you're missing one piece.
Oh,
right on the line.
That was right on, smack on the line. You're right, Mary. So it's, you have to work a lot harder. And the rest of your game has to be all together because you rely on it so much.
Wanted the ace. She's already struck one ace this game, along with a few double faults. You don't normally see that big a miss from Hingis. What was that all about? As Tana Sugarn holds. I think she just kind of wanted that game to be over. Sometimes I feel like Hingis just folds her hand sometimes and just figures, all right, let me just finish the set on my own terms.
Yeah, it's kind of like throw that away. Let me just regroup and start where I want to start.
Which is where she is now, at serving at 5-3.
15.
Sometimes winning a point like that is worth more than one because the player ends up being so tired they miss the next 1 or 2 points because they're still trying to catch their breath.
Forty low. 40-15.
Well, it's really windy out there. You see the lineswoman's skirt going all over the place.
Game first set.
There is the first set in 42 minutes for Martina Hingis.
6-3.
Quickly now, let's sneak over to court number 3 to pick up a match between Jan Simmerink of the Netherlands and Magnus Larsson of Sweden. Over the weekend, Simmerink knocked out the #1 Swedish player, Jonas Bjorkman. Now he's trying to do the same thing to Larsson. The Dutch lefty serving up 2-1. Dropped the first set 6-4, took the next 2 sets 3-3. And now serving for the match. First match point for Jan Simmerink, trying to advance to the quarterfinal round. And just like that, Larsson is banished. Simmerink continues his Dutch sweep of the Swedes. And in the next round, Simmerink awaits the winner of the match between Goran Ivanisevic, another southpaw, and Todd Martin of the USA. Now let's go back to the Hingis match.
The #1 seed, #1 player in the world, and defending champion, Martina Hingis, 17-year-old from Trubach, Switzerland, has taken the opening set of this 4th round match against the 21-year-old from Thailand, Tamarine Tanasugarn, about to begin set 2. Tamarine Tanasugarn comes from good athletic stock. Everyone in her family plays tennis. Her father represented Thailand in 2 separate Olympics in basketball, and in fact carried Thailand's flag into the Olympic Stadium.
Tamarine carried that flag in the last Olympics.
Right.
Amazing for
the '96 Olympics. She got to bring in the flag. That had to be a thrill for her.
Dad played, what, in 60 and 64?
and for a woman from that country to be carrying a flag, that must have been a thrill.
Pretty politically correct, is that what you're saying? Suggesting?
Ooh. 30-15.
I want to know if Tanasugarn has met Tiger Woods yet. Like, I wonder if when Tiger went to Thailand, if she was there. I have to ask her.
Like Tiger, Tanasugarn has dual citizenship. Tiger, I guess, belongs to the whole planet. Tanasugarn also lives in the States. And again, Hingis not quite as concise and clear with her strokes as I'm sure she'd like to be. steps it up a little bit,
40,
just
30.
because she can.
And you see Tana Sugarn practicing her toss, get it up higher, but her motion is such that she doesn't really require for the toss to go that high. That was better.
Game is Tana Sugarn.
So Tamarine Tanasugarn holds to begin this second
First
set.
game, second set. First set, Ms. Hingis.
We've spoken so much about how you two would like to see more numbers that better explain what's going on. Here are the numbers from what's happened so far. What do you think?
Well, 24 unforced errors in 9 games. That's completely not acceptable. Net points won, both players very high. Tana Sugarn actually out-hitting Hingis, but then out-forcing her, making way too many unforced errors. There's your story. A lot of deuce games, a lot of game points for Tana Sugarn, but she was only 1 of 6 break points converted. And again, that's you can't expect to give a top player a ride with that kind of a number.
On a surface like grass, what's a good, healthy winners to unforced errors ratio?
Well, 2 to 1 is fantastic. Anything, 3 to 2 is good enough. 30 winners, 20 unforced errors. That usually wins. But you definitely need to have more winners than unforced errors. No question about that.
Action from court 2, Martina Hingis. Serving.
$15 low. $15 $30-15.
A little more pace on that serve. She flattened it out. Hingis did on that last serve. Oh, wow.
30-all.
Tana Sugarn not exactly acting like she did that on purpose. Very pretty to see. 30-all. That is so like Hingis.
Except it doesn't count. Need to play it out. That would be a fun point.
40-30. Game is Hingis.
An easy hold for
One game
Martina
hold.
Hingis. Evens things at 1. Hingis says of herself, I hate the age I'm at right now. I'm 17, I'm right in the middle of everything. Not a junior, but still young. I'm so moody sometimes. One day I'm crazy in the head, the next day I won't talk to anybody. I can't wait for this year from 17 to 18 to be over. I don't know, it looks like she's having some laughs to me.
Well, she's, she's playing an adult game. She's living in an adult world, but she's not legal yet, is she? Apparently old enough to drive a car.
She also says she knows this is the most important year of her career. Hingis says, how I handle the different pressures of being number 1 is very important. Hingis will turn 18 on September 30th. Till then, she just hates all this stuff.
But all those quotes you were talking about with Hingis tells you how actually
15-all.
aware she is as a person and very mature for her age.
Second serve for Tana Sugarn, who's only winning 30% of the points when she's got to put in that second ball. Against Hingis is 56. Tough way to win points on second serve, having to hit something this good.
Just caught the line.
Stayed in.
30-all.
I'm trying to think of somebody else I could possibly say this about, but of Hingis, I'm not sure she's ever going to have a favorite surface. She's so fluent in all surfaces.
Well, I think Steffi Graf really was pretty fabulous. Obviously, she won on all surfaces, and she won 4 Grand Slams at least on each. So she's just as good on clay as she's on grass. Maybe when you get older, it's easier to win on the faster surfaces. It's more difficult to just, you know, get in the trenches and just hang in there and play the long points on a slower court like clay. But I think between Graf and Hingis, they're both just so incredible. And maybe Hingis even more so.
Yeah, I think grass was definitely Steffi's best surface. A double fault giving Hingis a break point here. And I'm surely grass was your best surface. You know, surely clay was Chris Everett's best surface. I don't feel that way about Hingis. I like her to see her play on everything, and I think she's just as good on everything. Oh, yeah. Upped it when she had to. And Hingis breaks. Hingis has not yet won the French Open, but I got to figure she's got a couple of trophies from the French in that body of hers. She's now up 2-1 in the second.
Well, Tana Sugarn serve, not something you want to repeat. But the rest of her game, very solid. But Hingis is just picking up the pace a little bit here. She just really wanted to get that game over with. You see there how clever that was. She was pulled wide, so she just tossed the ball a little bit higher, and Tana Sugarn refuses to come in on that ball. And now Hingis is back in the point. Stretches her a little bit, and now she stretches her more. Gets the angle.
I like when Hingis knows when the point has to be over. Does a little bit more with the last shot because she knows she's got to. She's out of position.
Time.
Has to squeeze the trigger a little bit harder right here.
And when Tana Sugarn hit that ball to Hingis's backhand, so how she stretched out she was. Again, she could have snuck into the net and hit a volley. So twice in this point, she let Hingis get in the point and pays the price. Now she's getting a little tired. She's getting a little slow getting to that ball. Unfortunately, we didn't see the last shot, but textbook tennis by Hingis. Just staying in the point long enough until she has the opening.
Low.
finally. Sugarn comes in.
I mean, she's been so effective at the net. I don't care how much outside your comfort zone that is. If you're winning points that way, just keep doing it.
30.
Do you think the player keeps track that
Obviously
they're really
not.
winning?
Obviously not. If they did, if they saw that number, they would force themselves to come in more. They would. They just don't trust it. They remember the points they lost instead of the ones they won. You have to keep reminding them of the success.
40-15.
It really is a matter of trust, and they don't trust themselves. That's a Billy Joel song, I think.
Again, Miss Hingis. Miss Hingis lead by 3 games to 1.
You can tell by Hingis's body language. She wants to get this over with now. It's completely different than even a game ago. It's like, okay, this is enough.
Yeah, I laughed, I cried, and now?
Now I want to get this over with and get out of here.
Let's get to the quarters.
Oh, that was too good. Sugarn said, okay, I've had enough of this point, and just rips it. There's no defense on that shot. Well played point.
Also, she's in a position of nothing to lose again.
Right.
So she's loose and relaxed.
I think if I were playing Hingis, I'd be a little jumpy, no matter what the score. She just rushes you. She just robs you of any kind of time to feel that you have control of something.
Well, I think she doesn't let you get away with anything. You know, if you make a mistake during the point, tactical, she's going to let you know it. She's always in the right place at the right time. She hits the right shots.
Are we really going to give Martina Hingis' mother credit for teaching her all of that tremendous court sense? That can be taught the way that this kid does it?
No, you're born with it.
Yeah.
I think court sense is probably the most difficult thing to try to teach somebody. No, she was born with the right radar and antenna, definitely. I've never seen anyone have better court sense.
You used to be accused of good court sense, Billy.
Not even close to Hingis.
Well, we got it, but we got it later. I mean, she has it, you know, she's playing like a veteran. She's playing as if she's played this game for 20 years, and she's only 18, 17 and a half.
She ran right into your living room to win this point.
She took off early. And that made the difference. Was able to get on the outside of the
3 games to 2,
forehand.
second set by 1 set to love.
We remind you to tune in tonight and tomorrow for HBO's Highlight Show, hosted by me. It airs from 7 to 8 p.m. Tomorrow's match coverage will be from noon to 5 p.m. Eastern and 9 to 2 Pacific. Thursday and Friday, our semifinal coverage will be 5 to 8 Eastern and Pacific. Looking at beautiful Court 1 with center court of Wimbledon in the background on a cold and cloudy day. here for round of 16 and action from the men and the women at the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. We were speaking about the incredible court sense of Martina Hingis, that there's no equal in women's tennis. Is there an equal in men's tennis? Which guy had that incredible spatial sixth sense that Hingis owns?
I think probably most of the champions, both men and women.
McEnroe?
McEnroe I put up there, definitely.
15 low.
He was my first thought. He was such an artist, the way he played.
Rod Laver?
30 low.
I'll tell you, it's great court sense. Ken Rosewall. Incredible.
Well, they played a similar game, didn't they?
Yes.
They sort of picked people apart. With Hingis more variety than Rosewall.
Oh, that's nice, isn't it?
Well, that was Rosewall right there.
Yeah.
That's exactly the shot he would have
40 low.
Also, you have to notice how Hingis stands up so straight. Her shoulders are back. Oh.
40-15.
She's having fun, bouncing around out there. Stands up straight, stays over her feet.
Game is Hingis.
So it's not just concept, it's technique as well.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Hingis
Her
is by 4
technique
games
is
to 2.
fantastic.
I think Mama had something to do with that.
All right.
Don't you, Martina?
Absolutely. I think where her mom helped her was Martina did all the sports, you know. She played everything since she was little, and that's really helped her become a better athlete. And that court sense, you know, that really develops from being an all-around athlete. You can't just play tennis and be great.
You mentioned that Hingis has
Love
enjoyed
15.
so many different sports, Martina. I go back to John McEnroe. You two were comparing McEnroe's sense of the court to Hingis's. That guy, that kid, I mean, I grew up with him. Until he was really in college, he followed the seasons. He played any sport that, you know, whatever the season was at school, that's what he played. And he played tennis about once or twice a week. He played soccer, he played hoops.
Love 30.
The way Tamasugarn serves, just slicing it on the outside of the ball, it's such a comfort for Martina Hingis because she knows that almost every serve is going to come to her forehand. So she's ready to rock and roll right off the bat.
When you said at 1-3 she was ready to get this set over with, I was thinking 6-2 set, and that's exactly what it looks like right now. And Hingis waiting on that slice serve.
Love 40.
It's such a luxury when you know it's all you're going to have to worry about is where the ball's coming, unless you're really weak on one side and you don't like it.
Yeah, Hingis is just sitting over there eating Cheetos.
Right, but Hingis doesn't care. Just get the dip out.
15-40.
And maybe even Hingis would come to the net more if she saw her net numbers. She's 16 of 20 net advances.
That's pretty healthy.
75%, 80%, doesn't get much better than that.
$30-40.
There's the net advances. The number suggests they should both do more of that stuff.
And we've seen more and more of that these 2 weeks. It's been so obvious that people don't come in enough. Yes, the numbers fall off a little bit when you come in more often, but still, they're winning such a huge percentage of points at the net compared to what they're winning on the baseline. It's like, hello.
These players are 80% going to net. Don't you feel like you want to have a huge cue card and just hold it up?
Billie Jean, I'm sorry.
Miss Hingis leads by
There's
5
no
games
coaching
to
at
2. Second set, by 1 set to love.
That was its first mistake.
No, here we go. Oh, no. No, not that
I've
old
opened a
chestnut.
can of
We're
worms.
I'm not going there.
Okay.
Don't worry. It's just that as a coach or as a friend, everybody, hold up the big cue card. 80% when you go to net. Hello. Throughout this fortnight so far, the players, when they've been changing sides, have really tried to keep warm.
Time.
Either putting a towel over them or putting the jackets, covering themselves with a jacket.
And it's nicer today than it's been most of the days, but it's still chilly. I just can't believe it's not warmed up.
And it's windy, so when you sit down in the wind,
right,
and if you're perspiring, it's very cold.
Martina Hingis serving for the match.
15 love.
And she's had enough of the singles match. She now wants to play doubles.
Is she as good in doubles as she is in singles?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Okay.
Wouldn't you love to play doubles with her, Martina?
Oh, yes, please.
We would have had Martina Senior and Junior on the same side of the net.
That's a lot of Martinas.
Yeah.
You would have been beside yourself. Which does sound like a good doubles team. Talking about the fact that so many of these women, in spite of the good numbers, do not come to the net enough. Venus Williams promised that we would see her at the net at the beginning of the fortnight. She said it over and over again, and she has not been in a lot. And she said yesterday, I've made empty promises. I said I was going to be at the net, and nothing was going to stop me. I definitely should. But it doesn't mean I will.
We'll see. She needs to. This Tana Sugaran saves 1 match point. And again, Hingis serving volleying on match point. She wants to finish the match at the net in style.
Doing that.
She loves doing that. A lot of those people do. Want to show off. Why not?
Game, set, and match. Miss Hingis.
She's got a long walk to the net.
6-3, 6-2.
Martina Hingis advances in straight sets in 1 hour and 17 minutes over Tamarine Tanasugaran.
In the next round, the quarterfinal, Hingis plays the winner of Dominique van Roost against Arancha Sanchez Vicario. We'll be taking you to that match very shortly. So Hingis moves forward. Later on, we'll show you American Venus Williams, who played right after Martina. And, of course, the question remains, how well are those two playing as they home in on a possible semifinal match against each other? Meanwhile, other matches still to come in this 5-hour telecast, which lasts until 5 p.m. on the East Coast. It will be Arancha Sanchez Vicario against Dominique van Roost and Jana Novotná against Irina Spurleja, those among many matches still to be shown here in today's telecast. Yesterday, you saw Petr Korda of the Czech Republic, the number 3 seed, moving forward in the draw with a victory over John van Lottem of Holland. If you were watching, you'll remember the moment in the last set of that match when Korda, while reaching for a backhand in the lane, slipped on wet grass and his left leg crumpled underneath him. This is tour trainer Jürgen Dess, who came on to treat Korda. The treatment wound up lasting 8 full minutes. Korda took his shoe off and had his ankle rewrapped. He said later that had he not had his ankle taped prior to play, he probably would be out of the tournament at this point. The injury was diagnosed as a stretched or strained Achilles tendon, and Korda says that he thinks he'll be okay as he moves forward toward a quarterfinal matchup against Tim Henman of Great Britain. Incidentally, speaking of the Britain angle, you'll remember Greg Rusedski's coach, Tony Pickard, the former coach of Stefan Edberg, who divorced himself from Rusedski after Rusedski's shenanigans at the beginning of this tournament. Yesterday, Pickard was a conspicuous spectator at the end of the Korda match. He has coached Peter Korda in the past, was not listed as the coach of record coming into this competition, but it is now revealed that Pickard has been in contact with Korda for weeks and may have seen the end of his relationship with Rusedski coming. Now, apparently, Pickard is back in Korda's corner as Korda gets ready to play Rusedski's countryman, Tim Henman. Just part of the continuing intrigue that is Wimbledon. Right now, we're going to check in on Arancha Sanchez Vicario, last year's finalist against Martina Hingis, as she plays on court number 1 against Dominique van Roost of Belgium. And it's John Lloyd and Barry McKay who are standing by waiting to call the match.
This is Arancha Sanchez Vicario, down 5-1 to Dominique van Roost. Van Roost, a red-hot player, John, has only lost 9 games in her first 3 rounds. And so certainly on the women's side, at the far side of your picture now, Dominique van Roost on a roll out here on court number 1. This is Dominique van Roost, 25 years old, seeded 15th. Wow, way out wide. The slice will go long, and now Van Roost just 3 points away, the 3-time French Open champion, in trouble, John.
Yeah, I think Sanchez Vicario, she started out so slowly today.
No. You rarely see Sanchez Vicario. She criticizes her own footwork there.
Normally so consistent from the baseline, Sanchez Vicario, and today a lot of unforced errors.
Bit of wind now starting to swirl on court 1. Van Roost, 30 love. Yes.
Van Roost makes a good play coming in here, but a little bit tentative with his volley and didn't get enough stick on the ball. And Sanchez Vicario, plenty of time to run around and hit that forehand down the line.
The Barcelona Bumblebee just keeps bouncing. It's hard to get rid of her. Second serve. Van Roost trying to close out this first set. Raced to a 5-1 lead. Yes.
Well, that forehand there from Van Roost was really set up by the excellent second serve that caught Sanchez Vicario unawares.
So at this point, double set point for the Belgian, 40-15. Oh, that is some shot, John. On set point, Sanchez Vicario throws caution to the wind and goes for it. That's a gutsy forehand on set point. Still set point, 40-30.
Deuce.
She gets out of trouble. It's deuce.
Loose error there from Van Roos.
I think that first forehand from Sanchez Vicario shook her up a little bit. She thought she had this first set put away. And now Sanchez Vicario with a chance to break and stay in the first set.
At first serve.
First serve. Shot cross court does not work. And so Dominique Van Roost misses on 2 opportunities. She leads 5-2.
5 games to 2 first set.
Let's have a look, John, at the overall analysis of this match thus far as they change over here on court number 1.
Well, we talked about the unforced errors that Sanchez Vicario started off with this set. And when was the last time you saw her making more errors than her opponent? 15 already. In comparison with Van Roos 10, and that's a big shock there. Net points 1, Van Roos obviously 38%. That's not her strong point. And overall winners, Van Roos going for the ball a lot more. 14. Sanchez Vicario really has played a cautious game today and made a lot of unforced errors. She hasn't really gone for the ball. It looked to me like she's just started off almost remembering her match last night when she had a tough match, and yet hasn't really did shake off those little nerves.
Van Roos came out firing on all cylinders, won the first 5 games out here on court 1. As we look at the 3-time French Open champion, a big win this year over Monica Seles in the finals at the French. John, were you surprised by that result?
Well, I was surprised she won the French Open. I just didn't think it was going to be her time. And then you see Arancha Sanchez Vicario's mother and Angel Jimenez, former Spanish player, top 10 in Spain a few years back.
Her mom does not have the dog today, Roland and Garros, the 2 dogs that belong to the family. Doesn't look like they're in attendance today as Arancha holds up new balls, changing after 7 games, and now Sanchez Vicario will try and stay in this first set, down 2-5. Wow. It's like a bad bounce off the service court. 15 love. Sanchez Vicario, John, starting to get a lot more depth off the 2-hander. And Roos starting to worry, perhaps. Where did that 5-love lead go? Oh, that's a great play.
Well, nice approach shot here from Van Roos. Sets up this backhand volley. And that was not an easy volley, but she stayed down nicely on that one. Got a racket head out in front. That's the second miss hit in this game on the return to serve there from Van Roos.
A very wide service stance from Van Roos, John. A little unusual. There you see it. She's got to try and move in either direction.
Oh, should have let that one drop.
Wow, a very short lob. A high lob, though, John. You think she should have let it bounce?
In a case like this, she's got plenty of time. Her opponent's way off the court. Let it bounce, set yourself up, and there you can see the preparation was all wrong there. Way too open on that ball and pulled the racket head down too soon.
So Dominic Van Roost, who had a 5-love lead out here on court 1, now lets 3 games slip away. She serves for the first set, but a little shaky at this point. Wouldn't this be amazing if somehow Sanchez Vicario could claw her way back to this set?
Well, it's not easy to put games away against Sanchez Vicario. Closing a set out against her because she fights so hard. It makes you earn every point.
That's a big forehand, John.
Well, she was very patient in that point. Van Roost took her time, waited till she got the opportunity to really go for a ball. And here you see this forehand and really steps in. Good, solid point from Van Roost.
15 all, 3 points away now. Van Roost trying to close this first set out. The number 15 seed taking on the number 5 seed out here on court 1. Just wide. Second serve. No.
30-15.
Van Roost, who has not had a lot of success in Grand Slam events, reached the quarterfinals of the French Open in 1997, and that's her best result. She started playing way back in '91 at the U.S. Open. But now 2 points away from the first set. No, double fault.
30-all.
And I'm really surprised that Sanchez Vicario is not doing more with the Van Roost second serve, because it's a really slow second serve and it's sitting there waiting to be hit. I'm surprised Sanchez Vicario is not running around hitting more forehands.
John, that is a big forehand. Van Roost with a big weapon off the forehand side, deep.
40-30.
So now Dominic Van Roost at set point. Good serve. It's long. And so that's the story out here, Jim. 6-3 Van Roost in the first set.
All right, Barry, and now let's take the viewers to center court, where Jana Novotná meets Irina Spirlea of Romania. 5th meeting between these two players. Jana has won each of the previous 4. She's beaten her on clay. She's beaten her on carpet. And 2 weeks ago in Eastbourne, she beat her straight sets, 6-4, 7-5 on grass. And right now, as we arrive, Jana has taken the first set 6-2. And it is 2-1 Spirlea in the second, as Jana serves to get even at 2 apiece. 29-year-old Jana Novotná of the Czech Republic, 24-year-old Irina Spirlea of Romania. Novotná, as you know, final round loser last year to Martina Hingis here. Second time that she's been the runner-up in the tournament.
Well, Novotná's been really serving well on first and second serves so far this match. It really showed in that last point.
Game is Novotná.
Easy service hold for Novotna.
2 games.
And now look at Spurlea as she prepares to serve. Best Grand Slam performance by far. Her semifinal trip in the U.S. Open last year. Lost to Venus Williams. What weapons, if any, can she use to disrupt Jana Novotna, Billie Jean?
I think the surface is going to dictate too much today, Jim.
Whoa!
Irina would rather play on clay or cement where she gets a consistent bounce. She's very tall, so she likes a high ball on her point of contact. And she's going to have to serve better than that against Novotna. Novotna's really the ultimate grass court player. Likes to serve volley, can chip off both sides. Tremendous athlete as far as her quickness. Spurlea is not the quickest as well.
15.
Understatement.
I think she covers more ground than you think. She's pretty tall. These women, you know, one step is about 3.5 feet. I used to have to do about 3 steps to their 1.
Oh!
Also, since the Open...
But Billie Jean, you're so tall and statuesque.
oh, thank you, darling. Also, Spurlea has very long strokes and is going to feel extremely rushed and uncomfortable with Novotna chipping and charging.
Scoreboard showed you we're only 35 minutes into the match, so you get a sense of how rapidly Novotna was able to go through Spurlea in the 6-2 first set. And now break point for Novotna.
We can see, Jim, that Spurlea prefers to slice her backhand, and if she does have a side that can do some damage, it is her forehand. Soft hands on this cross court. Reminds me a little bit of the way Nastase used to hit it, both being from Romania. Nastase comes out and watches Spurlea play quite often.
Advantage, Miss Novotna.
And another service break opportunity for Novotna. Trying to gain the upper hand on Irina Spurlea in the second set. Novotna took the first 6-2. Spurlea at the net. So Jana goes ahead 3-2 in the second set. Let's check back in with Barry and John on court 1.
All right, Jim. After losing that first set 6-3, now Sanchez Vicario trying to come back here up 1-love in the second. This is Van Roos serving. Second game, second set. John, there's a drop shot that really dropped.
That barely came off a racket. That was a nervy looking shot.
That one you could say nice stop instead of nice shot. Boy, that thing really died. Sanchez Vicario trying to get back into this match. Lost the first set after Van Roos came out and won the first 5 games. Short second serve.
Game.
And it catches the net, and so Sanchez Vicario breaks in the second game of the second set. Now 2-love out here, Jim. Back to you.
2 games.
A Vicario thrill there, and we bring you back to Jana Novotná and Irina Spurleja. Billy, you were commenting while we were away that Spurleja doesn't hit the ball as hard as you might expect her to on grass.
No, I'm amazed on cement or like at the U.S. Open or even on clay. She gives you a sense that she has much more power than she's displaying today on the grass, and usually grass will heighten that feeling.
15 love.
It's just amazing.
Could it just be that Jana has her back on her heels with her serve and volley game?
I think she does to a point, but Spurleja is she has to become more assertive the way she plays. It's just she's not doing much of anything. Of course, that's
a hard forehand.
It's not very hard. That was well placed. Look at the placement here. This is just too good on this forehand of Irina's. Oh, watch right there, the inside out. Look at her. Look at the ball. A little bit late on the contact, but that's what you want because you want to fade the ball.
(30-15).
Like she didn't really smack that backhand. Not from what we see from most of the other women. She's got to get some more MPH on her shots on grass, that's for sure.
(40-50).
Strokes aren't compact enough. Therefore, Spurleja is always feeling rushed.
(40-30).
Well, that's what she should be trying to do, is take the net away from Novotná. Anytime she gets a ball around that service line, she should be going forward. Because if she doesn't, Novotná will.
But there's the rub, because it's a natural way for Jana to play, and it goes against Spurleja's instincts to come to the net.
Exactly.
Game is Novotná.
A seemingly dispirited Irina Spurleja.
Miss Novotná leads 4-2.
For the last couple of games since we've arrived here, providing scant opposition to Jana Novotná. As Novotná moves forward toward a possible final or quarterfinal match, I should say, with Venus Williams.
Love 15.
Well, Spurleja can go in and out in her moods. Lacking intensity today and probably belief in herself that she can hurt Novotná in any way.
Let's second serve. 15-30.
Two double faults in this game. You saw the double fault earlier. Novotná gets so many free points on her own serve via her style of play that Irina can ill afford to be giving her free points in her service games.
Ooh, late call.
15-40.
Let's see if Irina feels competitive enough to even glance at chair umpire Jane Harvey. But no.
See, at the U.S. Open, she would have been all over that. She's really flat today. This match so far is going no place as far as any excitement. Because you can hear the spectators applaud, trying to encourage Spurleya to
show a little spirit.
To do something.
To wake up. Play ball.
Go get him, Jim. Get you down there. Courtside.
Juice.
Hard to believe this is the same woman who played that spirited semifinal with Venus Williams at the U.S. Open. Hard to believe this is the woman who felt combative enough to bump Venus in the changeover. Obviously, she was in a different mood at Flushing. Another double fault.
Advantage, Miss Novotná.
She's the mope today. Moping around and no life in those eyes of hers.
This is almost like a bye for Novotná, the way Spurleya is playing.
Actually, I think it's very difficult for Novotná to play against Spurleya because she's in and out, and of course here she has a very nice touch off of her backhand, very much also like Steffi Graf. Novotná had no chance, just didn't want to get hurt. Hold up. I saw Roy Emerson get hurt back in the 60s, and it caused him not to be able to play in 1966. What's difficult is Novotná had to keep pushing herself in this match. She can't feed off of Spurleya's energy at all, lack of energy. Oh, that's just terrific athleticism around the net from Novotná.
So in an effort to stay awake, Novotná exhorts herself toward a bigger effort.
Net first serve.
First serve.
Juice.
Another good placement with the inside-out forehand.
Take another look at it, Jim. Gets set up. Good racket speed for her. Still not very powerful, but again, relying on direction, not power.
Providing the target, and Spurleya obliging her with the pass.
Yes, it helps her line up where she wants to hit it. You see her turn those shoulders, stay through the ball, and low to high, which gave it topspin to clear the high part of the net on the sidelines. Remember, it's 3 feet in the center, and it's 3 feet 6 inches when you get near the tram lines.
Juice.
Spurleya was voted the most impressive newcomer. You look at Novotny just inside. That was really a mishit forehand. There's nothing you can do about that when you're playing against someone who gets lucky. In 1994, Spurleya got the most impressive newcomer award. No time
Advantage with
for
Novotny.
Spurleya's very long backswing. You have to have a much shorter backswing. The ball's going to bounce very low. It's going to skid through, especially with Novotny hitting the ball. You have to get down, get your body down, get your racket face below the ball.
Another break opportunity for Novotny.
Game is Novotny.
And Jana Novotny is one game away from eliminating a rather dispirited Aryna Spurleya. Let's go back to Barry and John.
All right, Jim. Arancha Sanchez Vicario coming back strong over here on court one. Up 4-1 now against Dominique van Roost at the bottom of your picture.
Wait, please.
The number 15 seed. And a big chance here. Double break point. I love the way she hits that forehand, John. Just sweeps across the ball.
30-40.
And here you can see this forehand. She's hit a number of winners from this shot today. That's her big weapon.
She actually puts side spin on that ball as she sweeps through it. Still break point over here. Top of the net. That's going to go wide.
Game.
And so Sanchez Vicario now at 5-1 over here, Jim. We'll keep watching it for you. Back to you.
All righty. So we bring you back to Aryna Spurleya against Jana Novotny. Novotny hunting for a third Wimbledon final in her career. Lost to Graf, lost to Hingis. Serves for the match here against Spurleya. Headed to the quarterfinal.
Love 15.
Well, Novotny is totally outmatching Spurleya. With her volleys, she's rushing Spurleya. And Spurleya is just so slow around the court. No light.
No energy level.
None.
Spot reserved in front of the television tonight, I'm sure, for Spurleya to watch Romania against Croatia in the World Cup.
So why isn't she playing with more energy? Go faster. Try to win. This is hard, actually, on a player like Novotny, to have your opponent on the other side being drab and mopey and down. You have to really push yourself that much harder.
Burst of energy.
Yes, Spurleya really got on the outside of this forehand. Watch how she hits on the outside of the ball and hooks it sharp cross court. Look out on the outside of the ball. Of course, she's always admired Graf, and you can see where she's patterned her game after Steffi.
30-40.
Well, double break point is still break point, so there's still a chance for Spurleya to extend the match here.
Game is spelled out.
And she does.
Full change, please. New balls.
And that's enough to get under Jana's skin for the moment.
And Novotna wants to finish, Jim, but she also wants to make sure she keeps holding her serve. It's good practice. Knowing you have a lead like this, you want to make sure you keep your intensity. So as you go into the next round, you don't want to ever drop your serve, especially as a serve and volleyer like Novotna. You want to be able to keep the pressure on your opponent at all times.
All right, let's get up, Billie Jean. A little hold here. Another service break. We have ourselves an even second set. Be headed for one of those great roller coaster matches.
I don't think so. Novotna's gotten herself charged up again. Look at this. Come in right away. Oh, it's beautiful touch with the racket face. Very deft with this racket face. Watch. Just gets it right in front of her body and just goes forward and just lifts sweetly. Beautiful racket
Just a
control.
momentary recess before the big Spurleya surge.
Do you know something that I don't?
No.
Are you looking into the future somehow?
In 1,000 ways, I know nothing that you don't. Spurleya on fire as she surges to 30-15.
You wish.
Just want a little competition.
You can see that Novotna's pretty anxious. She wants to get this point, get on with it, get this over with.
40-30.
Spurleya right on target for the big comeback. I'm telling you, Billie Jean.
So difficult to finish. It's just incredible.
Juice.
Oh, maybe not.
Novotna's pushing herself very hard here to finish. You can see Novotna's much twitchier with her body language, trying to keep her intensity and not let this match slide away from her. Great get.
And the first match point now for Jana Novotna.
Novotna had to decide if she's going to hit it overhead or the sky hook on the forehand. Oops, not going to hit the overhead. I can't make it, so I'll do the sky hook and hit behind Spurleya. Excellent choice. Had no time to really think about it and just reacted.
Game, set, match.
Cross-court forehand for Novotna lands in. Spurleya unable to reach it effectively, and just like that,
6-3.
third-seeded Jana Novotna has another Wimbledon victory and another trip to the quarterfinal round. And as Jana looks to get back to the final for the third time in her career, she awaits the winner of the match between Virginia Ruano-Pascual and seventh-seeded Venus Williams.
Ladies and gentlemen,
we'll be showing you that one just a little bit later on. Now let's go back to that pesky court one with Barry and John.
And the pesky Arancha Sanchez Vicario crawling her way back, Jim. 5-2 now. Second set for the number 5 seed. Dominic Van Roos serving. And Sanchez Vicario becoming a bit more consistent now, John. Her trademark.
Yeah, it's been a combination of both factors in this second set. Van Roos has definitely been more nervous, made a lot more errors, and Sanchez Vicario been more consistent.
Love 15. Sanchez Vicario only 3 points away now from evening this match at a set apiece. suddenly falling apart. The slice, though, really trapped her there. Bit of variety from Sanchez Vicario. 3 times the French Open champion, dating way back to 1989. Sanchez Vicario, love 30 now.
$15.30.
This has been Van Roost's best shot all day today. Half-court forehand. She loves that shot down the line.
Sweeps across it, John. You know who'd love to watch that? Jack Kramer. That was one of his favorite shots as he came in off the forehand.
Beautiful
Sweeping shot deep to the backhand. 15-30. Oh, that's wide. Can you believe it, John? A sitter at the net.
And you could see here in this point, she just rushed that forehand. Easy shot, had plenty of time. And there you go, second set. Sanchez Vicario cut her unforced errors down from 16 in the first set down to 3 in the second.
She'll get it. No, it's long. Even though she didn't make the shot, John, you got to say to yourself, I got to make it a little bit better. This Sanchez Vicario gets to every ball. Still set point, 30-40. No.
And again, Sanchez Vicario get in trouble on that return of serve. To me at the moment, Barry, she's hitting far too many balls half court down the middle of the court, Sanchez Vicario. You can perhaps get away with that on a clay court, but not on a grass court. This is where I like to see her attack on a second serve, a weak second serve.
No.
Didn't have to.
Advantage, Sanchez Vicario.
So Sanchez Vicario gets a break, double fault, takes her to set point once again. Sanchez Vicario puts on miles, John, just waiting to return serve. The feet never stop. High lob. Oh, no, she hits it way wide, but a good defensive lob from Van Roost.
Very difficult shot that from Sanchez Vicario. Could have played the percentage and hit it down the middle and just got the ball, but she went for a winner. Just overhit that ball. Not an easy shot, though.
Another real advantage of these show courts. You see the nice high background back there. 15, 16 feet of nice dark green. You can see the ball so much better out here. Oh, an error off the return.
Mrs. Van Roost.
So Dominic Van Roost now with a chance to hold.
Game, Mrs. Van Roost.
And so Van Roost gets out of trouble. She holds serve.
Sanchez Vicario leads 5-3, second set.
Arancha will serve for the second set, up 5-3.
And still Sanchez Vicario, even though up 5-3. Again, in that last game, not looking sharp on the big points. She really should be putting those away. She's the experienced player. Has looked shaky on a lot of the big points today.
Love.
Two-hander, wide and long, 15 love.
40-30 love.
The shot that she's hit so well, Van Roost let her down that time. Overhit it. 2 points away. Sanchez Vicario, 30 love. Oh.
30-15.
She points to a mark on the court, John, I think saying, I got a bad bounce off that turf. Second serve. Sanchez Vicario had that great run in Sydney, Australia early this year, beating both the Williams sisters to win that tournament. Oh, yes.
And that's what that second serve deserved there. Sanchez Vicario very short, halfway up the service box, and Van Roost really clocks that backhand cross court.
As you said, John, assuming she were able to get through this match, that second serve is not going to work against the Hingises and the Williams.
40-30.
Well, at the moment, she's just not going for enough. She's hitting the ball down the middle too many times and playing far too negatively, not taking any chances, but she has another set point.
40-30, 1 point away from evening this match out here on court number 1. Sanchez Vicario lost that first set.
Let. First serve.
Let. She'll have 2. That's going to go long, and so Sanchez Vicario here on court number 1 evens this match at a set apiece. Jim, back to you.
And rest assured, we'll take you back for the conclusion of Arancha Sanchez's match against Dominique Van Roost. Meanwhile, Budge, Laver, Connolly, Court. Those 4 names, the only 4 players in the history of the sport to have accomplished the Grand Slam, winning all 4 Grand Slam tournaments in the same year. Today, Don Budge was honored on center court on the 60th anniversary of his Grand Slam. Here's Frank DeFord.
I saw in the record books that Tilden had never done it, Cochet had never done it, Vines had never done it, Perry never did. So I said, what's wrong with these players? If they're good enough to win 2 or 3 in 1 year, why can't they win 4? I'm going to go down to Australia. I told Mako, my doubles player, I said, Gene, this is what I'm going to try to do. Don't tell the guys, they'll be laying for me. But this is what I'm going to try to do. He said, all right. So he went along with it, didn't say, well, Budge is trying to win the Grand Slam or the 4 major tournaments. So I was able to do it.
So I was able to do it, just like that. In 1938, Don Budge invented the Grand Slam and carried it off. Still, surely, the grandest achievement in all of tennis.
Would you please welcome the man for whom the Grand Slam was named, J. Donald Budge.
Today in center court, 1998, Wimbledon honored this grand 83-year-old gentleman for what he accomplished so many years ago. So difficult is the feat that in the intervening 6 decades since Budge dreamed up the slam, only 4 other players have been able to pull it off. Maureen Conley, Little Mo, the first woman, 1953. Rod Laver, the only player to do it twice, 1962 and 69. Margaret Court, 1970. And Steffi Graf 10 years ago in 1988. So history suggests that we should get a Grand Slammer about 1 a decade. But a surprising number of people think that what was extremely hard is now virtually impossible.
It's 4 different surfaces, basically. You know, clay and the grass. It makes it really difficult because you need an all-around game. And to always be physically at your top while you're playing these Grand Slams is very difficult because they are spread over the whole year.
The French on clay has always been the hardest of the set. Was for Budge then, is for challengers like Hingis and Sampras now.
The French was the toughest.
Why?
Well, because first of all, it was a slower surface, and you had to be patient. I lost 2 sets to a Yugoslavian named Kukulovic.
You think it's still the case that the French is the more difficult of the 4?
Oh, sure, yeah.
And for the same reasons?
Yeah.
John McEnroe surely would have won the Grand Slam in '84, a year when he absolutely ruled the courts. But in the French final, it was, as is so often, another Parisian grim slam story.
I kind of felt that I jinxed John, because John was beating Lendl. He won the first 2 sets, had him 4-3 in the third. So the Mr. and Mrs. McEnroe were sitting right behind my wife and me. And I turned around to him, I said, you know, if John wins the next 2 games, he will have won the French championship exactly the same score I did, 6-3, 6-2, 6-4. So from that point on, John's game fell apart. I guess he got tired. He got involved with some cameramen that were taking pictures, and anyway, he couldn't hit a ball in the court, and he lost the match.
Incredibly, Budge won his original slam despite the fact that his system was constantly poisoned all year from what turned out to be an abscessed tooth. But he was so much better than anyone else that he only lost 4 sets total in the 4 tournaments.
Budge always adored Wimbledon, and now with all the other pre-war stars gone, Perry and Vines, Wills and Riggs, the California son of a Scottish soccer player is the last loving link of greatness to that era. It's both appropriate and sweet to have him back on center court today, a place he still remembers so very well.
It's exciting as hell because, you know, you're in the supreme place in the world to hit a tennis ball. And the echo is different, you know, the ball sounds different than it does at other places. It's fantastic.
And the echoes of the Grand Slam that he created are still with us, too.
Doggone that Lampley. How could he have possibly left out Steffi Graf's Golden Slam, which also included an Olympic gold medal? That's the last time we'll let him lead to that piece. Meantime, we'll take you back now for the conclusion of the match between Arancha Sanchez Vicario and Dominique van Roost. Once again, let's join Barry McKay and John Lloyd.
All right, Dominique van Roost right here now in a bit of trouble. We move ahead as Sanchez Vicario now leads it 2-1. She has the break. And John, suddenly Van Roost, who looked like she had Sanchez Vicario in all kinds of trouble at 5-love in the first set, now in a dogfight with someone you don't want to be in a dogfight with. Big serve down the middle. Sanchez Vicario gaining some strength at this point in the match.
Well, the problem's been really after Van Roost won that first set, she started off the second set so poorly. It was almost like she was like congratulating herself for winning that set and relaxed and let Sanchez Vicario get off to a lead, and since then she's been in trouble.
Oh no.
Set it up.
Very wide stance on the return of serve. John, would you recommend, as we look at that wide stance of Van Roost, would you recommend that wide a stance to return serve?
No, it doesn't do any good. Much better to be on your toes there. It doesn't make any sense.
There you see it on the baseline. Very tough to move in either direction from that stance. Deep shot off the two-hander from Van Roost.
Game.
Sanchez Vicario again in with a solid first serve, and so now the Barcelona Bumblebee getting ready to sting once again, up 3-1 in the final set. And I'll tell you, she has really had to struggle here at this year's Wimbledon.
She really has not looked good. She's been getting through her matches, but has not looked sharp.
Fatima. Very low.
Crucial game for Van Roos. She needs to hold. Just about ready to serve, and you saw Sanchez Vicario hold up the hand there. Great play. You don't want somebody serving if you're not ready. And John, I think a lot of players, recreational players, don't realize they can slow things down. Wow, nice angle off that backhand drop shot by Van Roos.
And she hit a lot of slice on this drop shot. They kept the ball so low. As you see there, well disguised, and Sanchez Vicario almost got there, but from that position, almost impossible.
Yeah.
Go over the highest part of the net.
As Billie Jean mentioned, that net, 3 feet 6 inches there on the sideline. Very tough.
$40-15.
And somehow psychologically, John, when you have the singles permanent net poles there, that net looks somehow a lot higher than 3 feet 6 inches, don't you think?
It certainly does.
They move the singles permanent net poles out to the doubles every match on court 1 and on the center. Right on the sideline, and Dominic Van Roos fights back out here on court number 1. Sanchez Vicario leading 3 games to 2. They split the first 2 sets. And still to come at the 98 Wimbledon, the number 1 seed, Pete Sampras, takes on the Frenchman, Sebastian Grosjean. Sampras, can he go all the way? Stay with us on HBO Sports. More action coming up with the number 1 seed, Pete Sampras. Back on court 1 as Van Roos shows she can serve and hit the lines, John.
Yeah, she struggled with her serve today. Hasn't got that many first serves in, but you see he really took a chance on that backhand. Just caught the line. She's played a bit of an up and down match today. Started off very well and then started making a lot of unforced errors and really lost track of her game in the second set.
Her Grand Slam history dates back to 1991 when she reached the 3rd round at the U.S. Open. Her best results at the French in 97 when she got to the quarterfinals. But a player, I'm sure most of the women, a little bit dangerous. They say, hey, listen, if you're playing Van Roos, look out. She's a very hot and cold type player. And in 2 out of 3 sets, John, if you get hot for 2 sets, see you later.
Well, and she also had a win against Sanchez Vicario in the Australian Open this year. So
there you see Arancha taking advantage, coming in behind that approach shot. I think you feel she should do that more often, John.
Well, I think realistically, if she wins this match and then goes up against Martina Hingis, she's got to become more aggressive. I mean, but I think The top players tend to do that when they're pushed and they come up against a high class of player. They do raise their game, and she's going to have to do that.
Goes for it all on the two-hander. It worked for her on that last point of the last game, but not that time. So Sanchez Vicario quickly to 30 love.
$30-15.
She's on it. Sanchez Vicario somehow anticipating there, gets her racket on the ball. Amazing to me that Sanchez Vicario, as little as she comes in singles, John, has been a great women's doubles player, and we know she's got a volley in the doubles game.
Well, she has a very good volley. She's technically very sound on the volley, but just doesn't like to take those chances.
And Roos going for it all in the return, hits wide. So now Sanchez Vicario with a chance to hold.
Let first service.
Let first serve. She might have gotten that if there'd been no let call. We're watching those, aren't we, John?
We certainly are.
Called a fault. No electronic call on that one. It's good. I think Van Roos thought that ball was going out.
But there was an example there of Sanchez Vicario with that half-court backhand. Hit it, looked like she was going to come in, and then retreated to the baseline.
Sanchez Vicario now up a break, 4-2. Does some shadow boxing. Keeps working on those ground strokes.
Love 15.
A lovely lunge return there from Sanchez Vicario. Directed the ball back so deep.
Oh, and another overhead into the net. We have seen her miss two very easy overheads. Should have been put away.
If she doesn't turn her shoulders enough on that overhead, stop moving her feet and pulled the ball down.
Love 30. Great effort.
15-30.
There you see this let cord. And Sanchez Vicario does remarkably well to get that. Has to hit a side swipe to get that over.
She almost crashes into the net. She could hardly stop on that ball. 15-30. Oh, yes.
all.
Definitely. Both sides. She loves to go for those winners down the line, off the forehand and the backhand.
Again, Arancha saying, hang on, I'm not ready. Or she could just turn around, show her back. That's one other way to stop the server. Catches the tape. So Van Roost now with a chance to hang in out here in the third set. There is Tony Gathercole, the man with the golden right arm and hand. Checks the courts when it rains with the back of his hand, John. I'm surprised he doesn't get blisters on the back of his hand. Whenever you see him, rain is imminent.
Cheers.
Oh, that was a sloppy error there from Van Roost.
You think the bouncing on the return of serve from Arancha is a psychological play as well? You're playing against her, you look over and say, hey, it's a third set. She's still eager, ready to go on every point.
That's, of course.
Catches the back of the baseline.
Oh, yes. And a lovely approach shot there from Sanchez Vicario. Took a little off that approach shot, but look how deep she hits it. With that slice, it gets very low. And there again, she could have put that ball away in the air, elected to let it bounce and hit the forehand away.
Once again, Sanchez Vicario with a chance to break here. Big point. That's long. No, that will go wide.
Sanchez Vicario.
And so Sanchez Vicario, who was in big trouble earlier in this match, breaks serve.
Sanchez Vicario leads 5-2 final set.
Now, after an hour and 42 minutes, Sanchez Vicario up 5-2. John, as you mentioned, I really think that's a big play. As you look over in a long match and see your opponent jumping around, you say, wait a second, she's supposed to be a little bit tired, especially the way Sanchez Vicario plays.
Well, it's a difficult sight when you see her. She's always seems so ready to go at every point. You see these errors there. Van Roost, 20 unforced errors in the second set. And that has been her problem. And Sanchez Vicario's cut down on her unforced errors since the first set.
Dramatically, that was her big problem.
Well, she started out the match very slow today. Looked a little bit tired, actually, mentally. She wasn't sharp. But, you know, she always fights 110%.
Thank you.
We mentioned Arancha, a great doubles player, winner of 55 doubles titles through the years, many of those with Jana Novotná. And now a big hand as she comes over on the right. Her mom, the Sanchez Vicario rooting section on the...
And the gentleman next to Sanchez Vicario's mother is Angel Jimenez from Spain, former Spanish Davis Cup player.
Great play court player as Arancha holds up new balls, ready to try and close this match out here on court number 1. 5-2, final set. Quick start, 15 love.
Line. Well, it's a great point there from Van Roost. What a defensive play, though, Sanchez Vicario is. She just makes you earn every point. As we see this rally, Sanchez Vicario on the defensive the whole time, but still makes her play that ball, and Van Roost just steers that volley right on the line.
I don't think she meant to make it quite
Not
that
quite
deep,
that close.
15.
And again, on that approach shot there, Van Roos didn't get set. Ran through that ball and made the easy error on the backhand side.
Coming up right here, Sampras, the #1 seed, taking on a qualifier, but don't let that fool you. That kid knows how to play.
Video.
30-all. Arancha having trouble closing this thing out. She was way down. And now 2 points away from a win. Nice slice serve out wide. So that nice first serve takes her to match point. Deep serve.
Out.
That is long. Arancha looks over.
2 sets to 1, 3-6, 6-3.
And so Arancha Sanchez Vicario, in big trouble earlier out here on court 1, comes roaring back to win it 6-2 in the third set.
So that was Arancha's victory relatively early in the day on court 1. She goes into the quarterfinal round against Martina Hingis. Meanwhile, a little bit later on court #1, Pete Sampras played against 20-year-old French qualifier Sébastien Grosjean, the Adam Sandler look-alike, who has now won 6 matches in a row on grass by virtue of having made it through the qualifying round and now into the 4th. Barry and John were still on court 1 for Sampras Grosjean.
15 left.
Sébastien Grosjean out of Marseille, France, the 20-year-old qualifier, taking on Pete Sampras, as Sampras now up 5-2 in the first set. Grosjean has showed some pretty good talent so far, John.
13. Well, yes, Grosjean's hit some very good ground strokes, but not getting into the net very much. And you can see at the moment, Sampras is completely dominating the rallies, taking his time. It's got too much power for him as of now.
Sampras up 5-2. Miss hit from Pete on that big forehand cross court. Sébastien Grosjean, a qualifier, won 3 rounds in the qualifying. He has won 3 rounds in this tournament. So if he wins 1 more round, John, if he'd been in the big tournament, he'd be the Wimbledon champion.
Right.
Well, I tell you what, he's played some tennis to get here.
$40-15.
Grosjean trying to hang in out here on court #1 against the #1 seed. 40-15. Sampras, who questioned a few of the automatic line calls yesterday on service returns. No question there.
Game, Grosjean.
Big swing on the forehand, and he holds serve.
Sampras leads 5-3.
This youngster has not played in many Grand Slam events, John. He only played the French Open in '97 and '98. This is his first Wimbledon, so he is green.
Putting up a fine effort, though, to win this many matches. First ever occasion on grass.
Sampras serving for the first set. Pete has yet to lose a set in this year's championships.
15.
Continuing to go to that forehand, John. We saw him get out of trouble yesterday many times with that serve out wide to the forehand.
And you can see that Grosjean does have a big wind-up on that forehand.
30 left.
And there we see it again. Very late on that. Big serve from Sampras, but way late. He's got to shorten that swing on the grass against a serve as big as Pete Sampras.
Could a player like Grosjean shorten his return to serve, John, quickly in a match like this without much experience?
I think you can. It's not easy, but I think you can modify it a little bit.
Oh, there's a shot.
You can see the difference of the swing on the backhand, much more compact on his backhand side. As you can see this return, steps in early, real short swing there, good shoulder turn. I think Sampras was expecting that one to go down the line.
Wow, again, Sampras down. Big return off the two-hander from the qualifier. Sebastian Grosjean, another look.
And again, once again, that backhand, beautiful control on that side. I'd be very surprised here if Sampras doesn't go to his forehand on this point after being burned twice in a row by the Grosjean backhand.
That's the biggest fall we've seen Sampras take thus far in the tournament. We've had so many injuries over here this year.
40-30.
Out to the forehand once again. So Sampras now at set point.
Let's first service.
At first serve, Grosjean, who played the French this year, lost to the eventual champion, Carlos Moya. He's had some experience.
Game and first set, Sampras.
Catches the tape.
6 games to 3.
And so Pete Sampras, out here on court number 1, wins the first set in 24 minutes, 6 games to 3.
Adam Sandler, Happy Gilmore, well, whatever he looks like, as you watch him, I think you'll agree he Grosjean you. We'll be going back to Sampras Grosjean just a little bit later, and stick with us for the rest of the program because we'll be showing you the only 2 seeded players still remaining in the bottom half of the men's draw as they look for their quarterfinal slots. Richard Krajicek against Wayne Ferreira, Goran Ivanisevic against Todd Martin of the United States. But earlier in the program, we showed you Martina Hingis as she played her way into the quarterfinal round with a victory over Tamarine Tanasugarn of Thailand. In a typical Hingis match, she played more or less to the level of her opposition, allowed Tanasugarn to actually flirt with expectations of possibly winning the first set or staying in it, eventually put Tanasugarn away at the end of the first set, then put more distance between herself and the Thai challenger in the second set. All in all, it was a very respectable, presentable, and typical Hingis victory. Stretches her Wimbledon win streak now to 11 consecutive matches. And after the match, in the interview room, the victorious Hingis spoke to our Zina Garrison.
Martina, you won today in 2 sets, but the match was a little bit tougher than it seemed.
Well, I was, you know, it was the first match at 11 o'clock, so I had always a little bit difficulties when I have to play early in the morning. But, you know, I was very confident going out there, and she a little bit, you know, she doesn't mind my speed on the court, and she has very good ground strokes. She hits the ball very flat and, you know, with lots of speed. And, yeah, but when it always came to be a little bit important, and so I always made a point. So I was, especially in the second set, I got my game going, and I feel very well out there.
You had a little more unforced errors than normal. You seemed a little more impatient today.
Yeah, I was a little bit, you know, because in the beginning I didn't really hit the shots I would probably want to, so I got a little bit impatient out there. But later on, I just started making winners out of that shot before I wanted to do. So no, but you know, I kept holding my serve. I started, you know, serving much better in the last 2 matches, and I feel very good now.
Your next match is against your first seeded player. Would you have to up your intensity?
Well, it's gonna be either, you know, Arancha, or you know, not defending, but she's French Open champion just 2 weeks ago, and she's playing very good tennis, and she's very confident. I hit with her once, you know, here at Wimbledon, and she kind of played cat and mouse with me in the practice. It's always a little bit different in the match because I haven't lost her since, you know, like the last 3-4 matches. But And Dominic, you know, I never played her before, so it's, we'll see who's going to be the better player.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They haven't knocked that smile off of her face yet. Arancha will be the next to try. Now we're going to move forward in the Sampras-Grosjean match as we go back to Barry McKay and John Lloyd at court number 1. We're well along in the second set now. Sampras with a 5-4 lead, and Pete will be serving. Remember, to this point, Sampras has not yet dropped a set in the tournament.
And so Pete Sampras now over to serve for this second set. Not an easy first volley. Grosjean hit a fine return, forced Sampras to hit the low backhand volley. Boy, he handled that well.
And this is a superb backhand volley from Pete Sampras here. Really knifed that volley. Carved it. The ball was running away from Grosjean afterwards. He had no chance of picking that up.
Let's first service. $40.
Wide, and so now Sampras with 3 set points, 40 love. 1 point away from a 2 sets to love lead. No, that's going to go wide.
Game and second set, Sampras.
And so Pete Sampras wins his 11th straight set of this tournament. He leads 2 sets to love, 6-3 and 6-4.
Third set, Grosjean to serve.
Sebastian Grosjean now at the bottom of your picture, serving down 2 sets to love to the number 1 seed Pete Sampras on court number 1.
A nice way to start there from Grosjean. I'd like to see him serve volley a little bit more here, even on his second serve. Mix it up a little bit.
Yes.
He gets a short ball here, and I think Grosjean doesn't want to hit too many volleys, because when he gets an approach shot, he seems to go for the winner every time. But it came off there.
Well, that's the difference, John, with serve and volley as opposed to working your way in. If you serve reasonably good serve, you're going to have to hit a first volley a lot of times. If you hit the big approach shot, it may be a winner.
That's right.
That's good.
40-15.
Sebastian Grosjean. Some solid forehands.
You see this inside-out forehand. Loves that shot.
It's good.
Game Grosjean. First game, third set.
So Sebastian Grosjean holds in the first game of the third set. Sampras leading 2 sets to love, and a lot of talk about Pete Sampras's efforts to be the all-time winner of Grand Slam events, John. He's going to have to beat a guy we knew pretty well, Roy Emerson, who racked up 12 Grand Slam titles through the years. A lot of people saying perhaps, however, if Rod Laver had been a professional or not been a professional all those years when he was not allowed to play, Laver might be the all-time leader.
No, I think Laver would have, well, you would have probably won at least another 6 more Grand Slam events.
Yeah.
But Sampras obviously he's already got 10. He's only got 2 to go. He's well within those sights there. I mean, Sampras, no reason why he shouldn't win 2 or 3 more Wimbledons. Very capable of doing so.
How about the French, John? Sampras, a lot of talk. Will he ever win the French championships?
Well, I think if he does, he's going to have to take 2 months off and go out to Spain and live there and work on his clay court game. And I still can't understand why a player like Pete Sampras doesn't do that. You would think he'd be obsessed with winning the French, because obviously it completes his picture, and he wants to win all 4 Grand Slams.
Time.
I don't know why he doesn't do that.
Maybe he needs to rent an apartment near the Real Club de Barcelona.
Yeah.
Practice about 5 hours a day with
Correccia, yeah, Moya. Exactly.
Get himself a nice big Western topspin forehand. I don't think his game will ever change. The only way I think he's going to win the French is to continue like he plays here at Wimbledon.
15.
Come in behind a lot of balls, take some chances, and you know, you're going to get past at the French many times. And I offered that advice. He says, what are you talking about? You played 30 years ago. The game was a little different. Not so sure. The clay courts were much different. Sampras, 15 love.
Out. 30 love.
Just wide. He tried to wrap that forehand, curl it up the line, and get it in just wide. See, I don't think you'd want to hit too many balls to Grosjean's forehand if you came in dangerous shot. Short second serve. The ball jumped right into the return.
30-15.
That's patented serve of Sampras's right down the center. Looks like he's going to go out wide to the backhand, and then suddenly just draws that ball right down that center line. Oh, it's wide.
Game Sampras.
And so Pete Sampras holds.
1 game.
Sampras's last serve, John, 119 miles per hour. That's only 6 miles per hour slower than Venus Williams, 125 a couple days ago. I'm not sure he'd like to hear that.
I might have to tell him that when I see him next.
That was quite a moment when she banged in that big serve. There was a heavy shot.
The power of that forehand just drove Grosjean so far back behind the baseline.
Left cord. Oh.
15-0.
As a youngster, John, Sampras played with a two-handed backhand. You think it was a smart move for him to drop the one hand and become a one-handed backhand player?
Well, obviously, you've got to look at his record and say, yes, that was very brave, actually, as a junior, to do that and be beaten for a year because of remodeling a game. But looking ahead to the future, oh, what a forehand there from Grosjean. I thought that was a very brave move from Pete Sampras, and it shows that
30-15.
forehand here from Grosjean. And good angle on that one. And the outside of the ball.
Sampras has seen a few forehands like that from his old friend Agassi through the years. It's one of Andre's favorite shots, that big angle forehand.
think Pete Sampras is just loving these rallies. You can see she's getting such a nice groove off his backhand side there. You can see he doesn't really feel threatened out there. He's given him plenty of time to hit the shots, come in when he wants to come in.
Wow. 40-30.
And here the Sampras return was straight down the middle of the court and short. And gave Grosjean enough time to hit that inside-out forehand.
Deuce.
Continuing to go for it. I like that, though. That's his weapon. Why not? Grosjean's been watching a little Steffi Graf through the years. That's his favorite move. He moves way around, leaves that court open, but it's a good effort.
A good play there from Sampras, but didn't get quite enough bite on this approach shot, as you see here. Short, not enough on it there, and gives Grosjean enough time to hit that backhand cross court. Well, that is just superb play. Wonderful drop volley here from Sampras, because he was not that close into that to hit a ball with that angle. Well, that is just touch. As you can see here, early preparation with the racket head. Look at that, keeps his eye on the ball so well. Just open the racket face slightly around the outside of the ball.
Such great balance, too. That's not an easy shot on the full run. Grosjean continuing to open up with a forehand.
Advantage Grosjean. Game, Grosjean.
So Sebastian Grosjean. One of the best games he's played in this match right there.
Grosjean leads 2 games to 1, third set. Sampras
2 games to 1 now. In the third set, but Sampras has a 2 sets to love lead. And it's really fun for me, John, to watch a qualifier like this, a kid who really sort of has come out of nowhere. And in a match like this, as we watch Sampras' nice high follow-through, great footwork from Sampras on the baseline.
He's got a lovely classical backhand. Really stays in and explodes into that backhand. His footwork. Look, watch his eyes. Keeps his eye on the ball so well. There's that big forehand. That's got to be one of the biggest weapons in the men's game today, this forehand. You see, starts to move in. There's that split step, just prepares himself. And look at the racket, and way out in front. Opens the racket face slightly and just cups the ball around the outside.
Time.
That was beautiful stuff.
That was a lovely point.
Put a little music to that, you'd have the Wimbledon ballet, wouldn't you?
Yes.
That was so graceful. Sebastian Grosjean leading 2 games to 1, third set. The #1 seed, Pete Sampras, serving now to get even at 2 games all. A 20-year-old qualifier, I should say, out of Marseille, France, giving Sampras some trouble here in the third set. A match like this, John, for Grosjean's got to be tremendously helpful with his game. He's going to be a different player when he walks off the court today.
Well, he's gone up against the best. He's won 3 rounds. He's had a great Wimbledon already, and now he can go up against the best, and he'll know how far he's got to improve if he's going to get up in the next step in the rankings.
15-all.
Going back to that point before where Sampras hit that beautiful drop volley, I mean, we talk about the power in men's game today. We talk about the big serves and the big ground strokes. And it's nice to see such a touch shot there and realize that a lot of these players still have such delicate hands around the net.
13-15.
It's not all power. Big serve there from Sampras.
It's Sampras, John, who's had so much more experience playing 3 out of 5 set matches. I mean, when you play 3 out of 5 here at Wimbledon, 7 matches to win, it's a totally different psychology. That third set is not an easy one to win and put away.
Well, it's so different the rest of the year. You're playing best of 3 matches, and then for the 4 Grand Slams, you have to suddenly go into 5. And it's not necessarily the physical side, it's more the mental side of sustaining that concentration for a period of possibly up to 4 hours in a match.
2 games all.
Sampras holds. We are at 2 games all, third set.
Although Pete Sampras hasn't had too many 4-hour matches so far this year at Wimbledon.
Has yet to lose a set, 11 sets in a row. Now this is his home. He says it. This is his favorite place to play anywhere in the world. Great success here. Boris Becker used to call that center court his living room. I think Sampras is feeling pretty much the same way, although we are on court number 1 today.
Yeah, I think Sampras has got his couch in Boris Becker's living room now. I think he belongs there as well.
Look out. Ooh. Right on the baseline.
15 all.
Grosjean not happy with that call.
He'll get no help from Mike Morrissey, who's in the chair today.
There you see one of the reasons why Grosjean doesn't come in the net too much. He ran through that backhand volley, and that was an easy shot. Not a natural volleyer, Sebastian Grosjean.
No.
15-40.
And
So
2
now,
real sloppy points there from Grosjean. Now he's down 15-40, 2 break points.
Grosjean, Pete hesitates. Nice time for a service ace, his 3rd of the match. Still down break point, 30-40. No.
Deuce.
And 2 big serves, John, when he needs it. Sebastian Grosjean at deuce.
Advantage Grosjean.
Ace number 4 out wide.
And the Frenchman's gone crazy here. Big serves coming from all over the place now.
Game Grosjean.
And so from 15-40 down, Sebastian Grosjean from Marseille, France, a qualifier, comes back to hold 3 games to 2. Well, tonight on HBO, our highlight show at 7 p.m. Eastern and Pacific, hosted by Mary Carrillo. Billie Jean King will be there. Have a look at Martina Hingis, Pete Sampras, and the star of the show over here so far this year, in my opinion, Venus Williams. Can she win it? Check everything out tonight on HBO Sports. The highlight show, 7 Eastern and Pacific on HBO. Beautiful shot of this great complex, the All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club. And if you look way out there on court 13, John, that croquet pitch looking very nice this year. I love that little piece of grass out there. It's the farthest spot on this wonderful All England Lawn Tennis and Croquet Club as we look at court 1. And now Grosjean, who I think played the most impressive game of the match for him.
Looked like he suddenly got a bit mad there and whacked a couple of big aces.
Paul Annacone there on the right.
And Kimberly Williams, Pete Sampras' girlfriend. looking pretty relaxed, as they should be at this stage of the match.
Great line from Andre Agassi at the first tournament of the year out in San Jose. Agassi looked at Sampras when he won it and said, "What's this girlfriend stuff?" He says, "You know, what are you doing, Pete? Come on, let's get serious now."
Let's second service.
Kimberly a little embarrassed by those comments, but Pete didn't seem to mind. Just wide.
Love 15.
Well, Grosjean now with a chance. Love 15. Sampras' 5th double fault of the match. Ooh.
Oh. Well, this is a marvelous half volley from Sampras that set up this overhead, but look at the way he gets back there and explodes into that overhead. Almost on the baseline when he hit that shot.
That was not an easy shot.
Oh. And once again, you see that half volley from Sampras, and it's such a difficult shot on the grass court. You have to bend so low and keep that racket head going through the ball, and Sampras makes it look so easy and set himself up for that forehand volley. Tough to pass Sampras at net. He anticipates so well.
He's got great reach. Lines person there at the top of your picture, getting that angle in on the sideline. Sampras gets caught. Grosjean now starting to get a line on the Sampras second serve. 30 all.
You're right, Barry. This last game, couple of games, he seems to be reading the serve a little bit better now. Yeah. Oh, boy, look at that. 3 of 7 for Grosjean. 44 of 60 for Sampras.
40-30.
Ace number 10. Yeah, Sampras trying to crank it up now. That last serve, 127 miles per hour.
Game Sampras, new balls, please.
There is ace number 11.
And once again, a minor bit of problem there for Sampras, 30 all, and he responds with 2 aces.
At the exact same MPH, 127. I think he heard me say that Venus's serve was 125. John got a little upset.
Right. Well, he's beaten it by 2 miles an hour.
3 games all.
And this is where Sampras will normally raise his game a little gear here. 3 all in the third set. It's been out here long enough now for Pete Sampras. I think he's probably thinking, okay, here we go.
Out. 15 left.
Oh. See, at this point, he was outside the court here, and what a shot. Just went for it down the line. Beautiful forehand.
Oh.
15-30.
You line that forehand up down the line, John. The net's 6 inches higher there, and sometimes in your own mind you say, should I really take a chance on this? Sampras just sits those normally. No, 2 errors from Grosjean.
15-40.
And so now Sampras with big opportunities here in the 7th game of the 3rd set. Double break point, 15-40.
Let's first service.
Ooh, net cord. Ooh, just drops back on Sampras. That would have been an unplayable ball, I think, John.
30-40.
And I think for a moment there, both players thought that ball had gone over.
Yeah.
And then we talked about earlier on about Sampras, 3 of 9. A little bit better, but would still like to convert more than those break point opportunities than he is doing so far.
Well, here's another chance right here. Still break point. Wow. Yes.
Oh. This was an excellent passing shot because Sampras did a lot of slice on that ball and kept it low and covered the cross court as well. And you could see there he still managed to dip that ball cross court.
No. It's going to go long.
Advantage
Sampras
Grosjean.
just a little impatient on that return of serve. I think he felt, I've stayed back for 2 break points. I'm going to try a little different tactic. Does not work.
Deuce.
Kind of amazing, John. He can hit a running forehand from 20 feet behind the baseline, and he lines up what looked to be one of the easier forehands of this match and hits it into the net. It's deuce. No.
Advantage Grosjean.
And that was not a difficult passing shot there from Sampras. He had plenty of time with that backhand. Looked like he pulled up a little bit. Wasn't as smooth as he has been hitting his backhand.
Deuce.
Some cat and mouse going on now. Both players just waiting for an opportunity, but just sense that Sampras will be in eventually on every point.
Advantage Grosjean.
Grosjean here doesn't quite get a hold of this overhead completely, but just does enough. Mishits it slightly.
Game Grosjean.
Just wide. So Sebastian Grosjean again gets out of trouble, down 15-40, comes back to hold. We're at 4 games to 3, and Sampras has got to be thinking right now, how can I let those games slip away?
Well, he did on that last game, though. On the second break point, he actually played a good point, and Grosjean really hit an excellent forehand cross court. But I think it's just a question of, again, Sampras lost his concentration a little bit in this set. He's up 2 sets left, winning comfortably, and perhaps hasn't bared down quite as much as he should do just to close out the match. You see that beautiful service motion. Gets in the net so well behind it. Looks so relaxed, that serve. And that's the half volley we've been talking about. He has such good hands on that shot. And then once he's up at the net, so difficult to pass. Such a good athlete, jumped so well. And that overhead was a tough shot.
Sampras, one of the best leapers in the game, John. He's able to stay up there. In fact, when he gets a short overhead, he still likes to jump off the ground and hit it.
That's one of his favorite little tricks there.
Yeah.
He loves that. There's Sampras.
And so players change over. Continuing to straighten those strings. So Sampras will serve now, down 3-4, but up 2 sets to love.
think he meant business on that shot. What do you think, Barry?
You could hear that bang from way up here. Oh, yeah.
You see perfect concentration. Did he whack that?
30 love.
Ace number 12. It'll be tough to break Ivanisevic's 44 aces from yesterday, that's for sure.
A
little loose on that shot, John. He had time to line it up. I thought he'd go up the line.
Yeah, got a little bit late on that ball. There, that heavy second serve again from Sampras.
Very deep. That's the key, isn't it, John, on a second serve? Keep that thing as deep as you can, because once it drops short, big opportunity for the receiver to come in, especially on a grass court. Again, the deep serve from Pete Sampras. And so he holds easily. We are at 4 games all. This match 1 hour 27 minutes old.
Love 15.
It's long. Sampras looking over at that baselinesman, waiting for the call. And that time you saw Grosjean jump into the two-hander. It looked like kind of like Marcelo Rios.
Sampras here read this drop volley from Grosjean, was in there so quickly, and good racket work just to hit that little angle cross court.
You know who would have covered that? Billie Jean King. She says every time Pete gets a real short ball, he goes cross court. She would have been there.
She would have been there.
Ooh. Love 40.
Grosjean serves his second double of the match, and what a time for it. Puts him down triple break point at 4 games all in the third set. That will go long. 4 quick points and a service break for the #1 seed out here on court #1 as Sampras now leads 5 games to 4 in the third set.
2 sets to love.
Those are the kind of games you love as a serve returner, don't you, John?
Well, yeah, I mean, Sebastian Grosjean there really hung in well that set, and then to lose that game that way, a double fault and 2 unforced errors in 2 points to go down love 40. That was a pity to lose that game that badly. He didn't really go for it. Really played some negative shots.
And, you know, throughout the match, this kid really has looked like he's improved.